today I'm going to make sure the sound is good. It looks fine in OBS. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of BCS Sports Show with,
Woo!
Yay, we're here. So, do we want to talk how awesome the Angels and Rockies are? We were kind of already talking about how great our teams are.
We'll do this before the playoff discussion, and then
Yeah. We'll get the crap out of the way, and then we'll talk about like good sports.
Yeah, it's really great when your team has to win 8 straight to get to 500, and they're still the bottom 3 in terms of offensive output.
I mean, that is tough.
I don't mind though. We're winning 8 games in a row. That's, it feels nice.
See, here's the thing:
3 of those were against the Dodgers, though.
The thing is, I should be happy, and yet I'm just like.
Yeah, I mean, we're both waiting for the other shoe to drop.
It's just everything else. Everything else just screams like it's a flash in the pan. It's not.
They do it almost every year. I'm waiting for that article from The Athletic to drop and say, despite how hot the Angels are, don't expect them to.
Well, here's what's hilarious.
Significant this season. They blah 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 blah.
We were so an account that Bryce and I'm friends with the guy. Bryce is sort of just.
It was the greatest episode of Coffee. The greatest episode of Coffee with Spects and Bryce ever.
Grabs my coattails on it, but he made the comment last night where it's like, "Oh, we're so excited. This fan base is so what was it?" So I made the joke of like, "Yeah, they don't know Mohawk June's next." But it was like, we're so excited that we got back to 500, even though it means nothing. I'm like, yep. Where was it? Hold on, I'm gonna find it.
I mean, we're now second place in the division, which means nothing. But we're a half game back from second place.
We're like in
from
fourth.
Houston.
We're like in fourth.
We're in third. We're in third. Well, at least last night. Last night we were third, a half a game back of Houston.
You're third. A game back.
The entire fan base is celebrating being 500 in late May. No one can fathom what it's like to be an Angel fan. Laughing my fucking ass off. Then I replied, "Then Mohawk June." For those of you who aren't equipped about what Mohawk June was, our manager in 2021, Joe Madden, shaved his head into a mohawk and then got fired before he could show it to the team. So there's a long tradition of Mohawk June.
Nice.
Didn't we hire a bald guy after that? What's his bet?
Phil Nevin was not bald.
Aaron Boone Jr.
Aaron Boone Light, because he only argued
Aaron
about.
Boone Light, that's what it was.
I hated Phil Nevin more than anything.
Who do you hate more, Phil Nevin or Ron Washington?
Ron Washington will get more hate from me because I expect him to do things. Phil Nevin is a trash bag, so I don't expect much out of my trash.
Yeah.
It's one of those bits where it's like, I can't complain when trash is in the dump, you know?
Yeah. But yeah. So we're both waiting, even though the Angels could go for their 9th straight win tonight. We're both waiting for... What wasn't there a year where they had like a bunch of wins in a row and we were like ready for everything, and then
the whole thing
wasn't it that year that they went on that historic losing streak? Wasn't that also preceded by like a decent win streak right beforehand?
They were doing really well up until then. They just never got the momentum back, but a lot of that, it's almost harder to have a prolonged losing streak in sports than it is to have a prolonged winning streak in sports, because everything has to continually go wrong for you in sports.
Yeah.
Because like the NBA is like 20 or 21 games, and it's like you're not getting blown out in all of those games.
I think
that's true.
Season, at least this winning streak is proving for me as an Angels fan is it really is time for Artie Moreno to like whatever you're gonna do with Perry, do whatever you're gonna do with him, but like what am I trying to say? But like go all in like on like free agents, because you have this actually like pretty decent youth core. Like it's not amazing, like there's still some progression to be had. But like if you were to surround O'Hoppe and Neto, and even like Ward right now is doing pretty good. You're
Who
gonna
ain't
surround
young,
them
but-
with like more. Oh yeah, he's not young, but like if you
You're
were
not
surround
even-
that amount of that core right there with more talent, you could at least put like a decent season together, like a decent run in the playoffs, possibly. But that's the thing, is we're never committed. We're always committed to like, oh well, we'll try for a few guys, and then
if you
when we
believe
don't get them, we screw ourselves over.
if you believe that Taylor Ward is going to be on this team for an extended period of time past his contract, I got some beachfront property to sell you in Colorado.
My guess is there's already a bit of momentum for for Taylor Ward on the trade market right now, trying to use this hot streak to say maybe he's got a little bit of extra value than normal. Like he doesn't, but like you might be able to sell a team on like, look, he's had flashes of amazing play.
I'm sure you could sell the Rockies on him, no problem.
Before he ran into the wall that 1 year, he had like a pretty good portion of what was it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, where he looked like MVP candidate, and then he ran into the wall and hurt his neck or whatever, or shoulder or whatever, and just was never the same guy again.
Maybe.
I don't know. I always default to you on baseball opinions, and I'm just assuming the Angels are gonna, the bottom's gonna drop out and everything's gonna end.
I mean, it's a pretty safe bet, given
I guess my whole
franchise.
Here, but the whole thing is I would say like they have stuff to build off of. The problem is I don't trust them to build around it.
Yeah,
That's
given
the
the fact
problem.
that Joe Adell is currently up 8th in the batting order and he's hitting 186, and we've
Because no one
held
wants
out
him.
hope. We've held out hope year after year of being like,
I have
maybe
not.
he'll be here.
I gave up on hope about 3 years ago.
His fielding at least is better in he's in center field now.
No, it's not better. It's not better. I don't know what.
Or maybe it's just not as
It's not.
as forward facing as left field was.
It doesn't look as bad.
Yeah.
We're gonna play a game here. What do you think his advanced fielding stat is?
Well, I'm looking at his D-WAR right now.
I'm looking at his
Not great.
outs above average. I don't know which one's worse. But his OAA is -2 and his arm value is -1.
Hey, you got a hit. So his average is probably now up to like 190.
You know what's funny?
Really
Yeah,
celebrate.
that's tough. 186.
He has
That's
so much
tough.
blue. Yeah, he's not good.
I remember when we drafted him. I was like, oh, this is he's got so much potential, and then no.
Yeah, he has all the potential in the world. This team can't build anything off, and he can't actually like do anything with it.
I'm wondering
He
if
is
we might
such
get
a-
like a Brandon Marsh situation though, if he was to go somewhere else.
He's
And he
beyond
would
broken
suddenly
at this
be
point.
like-
He's 26. Who's gonna want to take the chance on a 26-year-old outfielder who can't do jack shit or who can't do anything?
I'm sure if we like DFA'd him, there would be a team that
No,
would.
there wouldn't. No, there
I'm
wouldn't.
sure there would be a team that would
No,
at least
there wouldn't.
store him in their.
You know what? You know what team would store him? The Rockies. No other team would want him.
I was like, yeah, we would for
Because
sure.
it's
Because
Moniac, right?
what's crazy is 186 might improve the Rockies' average.
You might be able to trade him for cash to the Rockies.
Trade
I don't
that
We
one.
all know how much Artie loves his cash deals.
It's not an Artie thing. That's just what you can get for him because it's usually a player to be named later or cash. And it's usually like $1,000, a couple $1,000.
What was it? A Boston first baseman.
Yeah, for Ryan Noda. Yeah, Ryan Noda got sent to Boston for cash. He would be Skippy.
No,
Well, they
we
needed a
didn't
first
send him for
baseman.
cash, didn't we?
No,
Buy
we
him
set him
for
for
cash?
no. We set him for cash because they lost their
I
first
thought
baseman.
we traded for him.
No, we set him packing because he sucks.
So exactly. So if we could trade him for cash, I'm sure you could trade.
Yeah, but the Red
Adele
Sox
for cash.
needed the Red Sox needed a first baseman, so it's out of necessity. There's no one who's like, we need a shitty outfielder.
Yeah. But anyways, we got Neto, and now he's up to bat. Maybe he can hit a home run and put us ahead again.
I was on Zach Neto from the start. I just want to point that out. No matter what that Swilly says.
I believed you the entire time.
I started that club.
I will say this: you're rough on Shanuel, but he is hitting 279.
Congratulations, he can't do dick. Cool, he's hitting 279. I can do that with a wet pool noodle.
It's like 279 is not bad in today's major leagues. Like,
hey CJ, I want you to look at his Baseball Savant page and look at his analytics and tell me what color you see more of.
Okay, who are we talking about? Sorry,
Nolan Shanawal.
I'm just saying, for as bad as this team is, you pick on him more than like Soler or Rengifo.
3-hole hitter, .4 WAR.
I want you to look at all the blue and all the red and tell me which are the red spots the good, are the red ones the good ones? No, they are not.
Generally, no. That usually means bad.
That's my point. You know why I don't bully Soler? Because I know what Soler is. Soler's going to hit big dick homers, and he won me a World Series when he was a Brave. So I know what I'm getting from him, and I've learned to accept that he's going to swing and hit balls into orbit and look like an idiot. I've accepted that fate. He too has a lot of blue, but guess what he hits? 36 dingers and slugs near 500.
Let's go. Well, they do say chicks do dig the long ball, so
yeah,
that's what.
Oh, and Adele just got out, picked off on first.
What a piece of
That's
trash.
how bad he is.
Damn, getting picked off on first. It's tough.
Let's see this pickoff move. Let's see. That's a balk.
That wasn't even close.
Said he was safe. That was a balk.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't even close. Like,
no,
he was out.
Wait, no. He was. No, I'm saying that's a balk. Quantrill balked. That's a flat out balk.
I know, but everybody's walking off the field. You can't challenge a balk.
No, because the umpires don't know what a fucking balk is. But if he moved both feet, that's a. He can't. You can't do that foot shuffle. That's a balk. But I digress. No one knows what a balk is. It's like holding in the NFL.
There's a lot of the time when
traveling in the NBA.
Go, what is a balk?
Yeah,
he's usually, no one really knows, but
that's one of those things. Like, you have to be a deep baseball fan to know. Like, a casual baseball fan doesn't know. I know what the
rule is about a balk, but there are times, but there are so many times with balks that I'm like, that I see a balk called and I'm like, what am I looking at?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Someone in one of my chats called for a public execution of Joe Adele now.
Jesus Christ.
Do you remember that Twitter? Have you
CJ's like, fucking hell. You felt that way. Don't worry. Don't act like you haven't.
No.
Specks, have you interacted with that Twitter account, Joe Show Adele?
No, I just feel bad. I just pity him at this point. That man must be like on suicide watch. I know who he is, though. Is it Joe Show Adele? Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh God, is this man still alive? Oh no. Oh no.
For so long, like anytime Joe Adele showed any promise, like even as he was in the middle of sucking, he'd be like, yeah, look at this one thing that Joe Adele did. That means he's amazing. You are all haters. And it's like,
I feel like he's backed off of it at this point.
Yeah, there's a point where you can't, what you see, you have to kind of live with, and
it seems like he's sort of turned to more of a maybe not. He's sort of turned into just a generic homer, or not. There's a Joe Adele thing.
Homie's a career 208 hitter. He's not good.
Jealous.
A little bit, actually, because that would kind of be halfway
for the
decent.
low price of a bag of Lay's.
Hey, would you like one lightly used Chris Bryant?
I'm not taking Chris Bryant.
No? Come on, his back is probably fine. It's fine.
I already have Anthony. I don't want to play baseball anymore, Rendon.
It's fine. Yeah, Chris Bryant, he won a World Series, right? He brought the Cubs a World Series.
So did Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, but then they could be friends together again.
They were never.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
I don't want another washed up, useless third baseman.
He did 2 days ago say Joshua Adele did say the best young horn MLB, and it's not even close. Neto, Adele, Ohapi done well, and it's like nope, just Neto and Ohapi.
I can get rid of the Shannowell. Shannowell and Adele can go to Colorado, and I'm sure they'd bat 240. You know what? I bet they bat 260.
They would not. They would not. Players come to Coors Field and forget how to hit for some reason, even though we're like the second most hitter-friendly park in the majors.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's supposed to be like the best place to hit.
Yeah, Coors and Yankee Stadium,
we're
like
just waiting for
yeah,
a Salt Lake MLB team, so that way there could be 2 ballparks where
that would be fantastic because then the Rockies might learn from another team of how to play at altitude.
I know we're talking baseball, but I just saw the score in the Thunder.
Oh yeah,
T-Wolves.
Yeah. Anthony Edwards came for blood, dude. Yeah.
The T-Wolves, I will say this: the T-Wolves are that team that it's like they respond pretty well.
Holy shit!
The Knicks, I would not expect tomorrow to respond as well as the T-Wolves did. In fact, this is probably a good time to segue into
basketball.
Holy shit! God damn.
But it looks like we're probably going to end up having. I mean, with this tonight, that at least casts a little bit of doubt on my thought of it's going to be the Pacers and the
Thunder
Thunder. Not necessarily.
Yeah, I
don't think that'll change. The Pacers and the Thunder, but
you had to figure the T-Wolves were going to come and defend home court.
Yeah, and
3-0.
The Thunder are still really young.
I'm also curious about how the Knicks respond. But I don't have a lot of faith in.
I was like, I think the
See,
Knicks
my question is, and we said this. I mean, we said this on Thursday, where it's like game 1, you probably get a pass because it's like you're gonna win a game. A loss is a loss. No one's gonna look at it and say, "Oh my god, they did it in historic fashion."
Mm-hmm. Even though they did
one game, no one's gonna, it's like at the end of the day, it's like you look at it. Oh, it was a loss. All right.
I mean, honestly, the reason the thing I would say that amounts to why I think that the Pacers will just continue to win this one is because Rick Carlisle is a way better coach than Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau will give you a good season, but when it comes time for the playoffs, he's like,
wait, you mean playing hey man, you mean playing your guys for 50,000 years in the regular season?
Tom Thibodeau is who I'm afraid that what's his name is JJ Redick.
I don't think JJ. I don't think
pressure's not on. The moment that pressure comes in,
I don't think that's JJ. I think the problem with JJ and I think the whole Lakers organization ran into this problem is they had nothing to play with, and I think that was the problem. And I don't think you're gonna see that situation next year.
Yeah, I mean,
thing is, out of the rumors that I've heard for LeBron, I'm hoping
Sabonis. I want Sabonis. Bring me the big European white man. Bring him to me.
But besides that, I'm hoping that what the Lakers at least do is figure out a way to. I'm hoping LeBron is I really want to win a championship. So instead of
I really want Sabonis.
Supermax 1 year or 2 year deal or whatever.
Give me Sabonis.
That he says I'll take 20, some odd million or however much million off, like when he went to Miami and say, I'll take some money off if you guys go out and sign someone.
You know what? I want a Sabonis.
I'm guessing he opts out though at the very least to give the Lakers because wouldn't it work that the Lakers could. If LeBron opted out, they could sign like a Sabonis or whatever. And
I want him to leave.
And then sign LeBron back because of
you shut your mouth.
What is it? Bird rights?
They would have the bird rights, so they could go over the cap, but they're already over the cap $60 million. So even with LeBron just not re-signing, they're still $12 million over the cap. So if you were to get Sabonis, you would still have to make some moves, get off of Kleber's contract, get off of Gabe Vincent, those type of guys. Do some sign and trade type stuff, which I know you have no problem getting rid of either of those guys. But
Gabe Vincent, you're a Cleveland. I don't know.
And I do think there is a mechanism in place for like a cap hold. So like you can't skirt the system like that. Like you can't temporarily go under the cap because a guy hasn't re-signed yet and order the signings. I think there's a hold for that until that guy signs somewhere else, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is though, like, yeah, but the Lakers weren't, when the Luka trade happened, no one was saying the Lakers are going to win a championship this year. It was like, hey, this is the move for the future. So the fact that they kind of got screwed in the playoffs, like, that's not surprising. I think a lot of national media got kind of ahead of themselves with how well they played in the second half of the season.
I think just the better thing to say is like it's step one, right?
It is step one,
like,
yeah. Like
it's like
your big men were
realistically
Jackson Hayes and Alex Len in the playoffs. Like, you're not going to win with that.
mean, I would say the grand scheme of things is more of like, hey, you got in, you made it to the second round, or you got in, you finished third, way better than you probably expected to do. Yeah. Now you build upon it, sort of thing. It's just like, hey, proof of concept, it works. Now we just need to fix it.
Yeah. Honestly, you guys get like even if you guys get like a Robert Williams or something, who I hope the Nuggets get, by the way, like someone like that, like just a center to give you 30 minutes of good, like decent basketball, even if you don't get Sabonis, like Lakers are in a good spot at that point.
I think, to be fair though, I do think Jackson Hayes, I would keep Jackson Hayes. I think he's a quality backup at least, and a cheap one at that.
He is a cheap backup that can play some basketball.
So it's like, hey, maybe you should keep him, and then if you, like you said, get a B tier guy. Like I would love Sabonis because it's too perfect of a fit, and I don't want him going to Denver for some bullshit reason.
Sabonis ain't coming to Denver. There's no way about
good.
That.
He can. But like,
I'd be more inclined to that the Lakers are probably. I'd be more under the impression that they're going to go for a guy more like what's his name, Kessler.
Walker Kessler, yeah. Well, Yusuf Nurkic.
I can see the Jazz now with only getting the 5th pick, that unless they're able to make some other maneuvers to do like something to build some talent in this year, of saying we want to get more like draft assets. And I know Lakers don't have a ton of draft assets, but they have some, and they could trade that plus like connect.
There was somebody who said that they,
or somebody or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know
whatever they need to do to make things work. To say like here's some talent back, and here's some.
I saw a rumor that Bryce will say it'll never happen. I don't see it happening either. But I saw a rumor where somebody said that they might try to get Lauri Markkanen and that center from Utah and like some like push all the chips to the center type deal. And I'm like, I don't think Utah's gonna get rid of Markkanen.
I think Utah very much gets rid of Markkanen.
They need to sell tickets, but also they might out of the sense of in the sense of.
Because I would give up Reeves for that. I would give up Reeves for that.
Trade any assets that are going to help you win a few games. Like Markkanen is probably the difference of they probably could have lost a few more games last year. Obviously, they lost enough to be the worst, but like you keep saying tank until.
But my whole thing is like, would you trade Markkanen and that center for Reeves, whatever first round capital you have, and connect? I don't know.
I think you probably
you do that.
I mean, if you're Utah, you care about the draft picks. You don't care about any of the players on the Lakers roster, except for maybe Dalton Connect because he's only 24. Like even Reeves is 27. He's outside of their window in all likelihood.
I would say what I honestly think I could see is if the Lakers could work it, but they need to involve a third team where somebody who wants like a Reeves. Like saying like, hey, we don't think we're not gonna sign Reeves for because the reports are he's gonna when he goes to renegotiate or when he goes to get his new contract, he's gonna be asking for $40 million a year or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like the Lakers are gonna be like, you're important to us, but that important to us.
Yeah, like
so I could see them if they could involve like.
Yeah, so they're
Detroit.
I know a good third team, but like if they could involve like a Detroit or somebody,
like
if you want someone who can like take that extra like thing that might push them up a bit more, like to get Reeves, and like it wouldn't even necessarily involve the Jazz taking back like Connect or anybody. You could just say the Jazz give up these two guys, maybe the Detroit pitches in a couple of young whatever guys that they have, a couple whatever, and then
guys,
Detroit and the Lakers just join together and say, "Here, Utah, take this first round pick, this first round pick, this first, like this."
Well, they're
a couple rounds in there, and like,
I found an article.
Possible? I think it's possible, but
I found an article saying that they could trade Connect for Connect and the first 2031 first round pick for Kessler. Ideally, I'm like, I don't know if that's enough, but
it might not be enough. I think you probably have to work in one more piece going to Utah, because like the Lakers' first round pick in 2031, that's a bad pick, because the Lakers are going to be pretty decent in 2031 because Luke is still going to be like he's going to be in his prime still. Like that's not a pick I really want.
That's the whole thing, is I don't necessarily know because Danny. But the whole thing is though is realistically.
You know what?
But the whole thing is Danny Ainge. If you get Danny Ainge involved, Danny Ainge might say like, "Okay, we'll send you the players, but we just want picks coming back and forever who the hell that is."
Or
because they could just send, or they could just say like, "Hey, we'll take Connect and see if we can turn Connect into a star and build around Connect."
They're not. No. They're not. They don't want. I mean, unless they have to. Like,
the only reason why I'm saying that is because. And again, this isn't. Danny Ainge is one of those guys where he could do whatever. But the whole thing is, they have so many goddamn draft picks that if they just wanted a player, so they had something, I can see him do kind of, sort of being like a player for a player, maybe.
Well, and that's honestly what I think,
because he has so many picks. Because of that, but this is because he made that trade with the Suns. If he didn't make that trade with the Suns, I would 100% be like, yeah, they're not doing that. But because they are,
that's also why I think. That's also why I think that I think Jazz fans are funny because they're like, like there's a segment of Jazz fans, particularly Utah Ute fans, because Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith are both like big BYU donors. And they both went to BYU, so it's like a whole thing. They already hate him. They're already predisposed to hate him, even though they love the Jazz. And so they're like, "Oh, look at what he did! He dismantled Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, who both, had good first rounds or whatever in the playoffs, and like, look at what he did. If he had kept this core together, it's like he wasn't going to. It was either get the assets then or lose out on any chance of. But anyways, and that's a whole other story. But
I'll say those two guys hated each other.
So what I think is funny is they sit around and they're like, well, the Jazz are so horrible. Like, why aren't they doing enough to like at least put us like in, at least winning some games? I'm like, you don't want to be like in the NBA. You don't want to be a middle of the road team. Like,
no, then you're the Bulls or the Hawks, dude. No one wants to be those teams.
Maybe like be in the play-in sort of thing. Like, maybe you might luck out like the Mavericks and get the first pick, but like it's probably not going to happen. And
that's because you're not a star.
Yeah, they don't have the balls going in their favor. So, but anyways, so I think it's funny because I'm like, look, they have so many picks that even if they don't necessarily like trade them for assets or whatever, or trade them for like players necessarily, and they just use the picks. Look at some of the best players in the NBA right now. Between like Jokic or Antetokounmpo. And I know those guys are like, you can't replicate that. Like, but what I'm saying is you never know that when like they could be making the 5th pick this year, and like let's say like it's Trey Johnson or VJ Edgecombe, like one of those two guys who are thought like pretty highly of, but like aren't necessarily like thought of as like game changers. But what if it turns out that like VJ Edgecombe, like let's say that's who the Jazz get with the 5th pick is VJ Edgecombe, and they get what's it called? They get him and he turns out to be either the best or like right behind Cooper Flag. And it's like they already had that experience with Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Who was in Donovan Mitchell's year? Who was the two leaders for that rookie class? Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's like if you're looking to get like a pretty like an all-star type guy, it could happen. The more draft picks you have, at least you're upping your odds of saying.
Yeah, you just have tickets.
Of saying like, of saying like maybe this guy, like right now we think he's probably, like VJ Edgecombe, for example, we think he's probably like a guy who ends up being like a 15 points a game, solid role player kind of guy, like maybe a third option or a sixth man or whatever, but like probably isn't tomorrow's like superstar. Could still happen. Like it's just, I mean, anyways, it's a whole thing. So it's funny. And like, I also think that that's like why I think there's a chance that the Lakers try to take advantage of the fact that that the Jazz are going to want as many assets as possible to say who's the next like unknown person, or because like really that's why Ainge wants all the draft picks in the world, is because it gives him flexibility. He can either make the picks and hope that they turn out great, or he can flip them if he was to, like somehow the Jazz go into this offseason and shock everybody and get Antetokounmpo or something. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen,
right?
But I'm saying like they do that. Then all of a sudden they have, like, obviously it would take picks just to get Antetokounmpo, but they might still have enough picks to then swing for a trade for a solid third guy. And then all of a sudden they have, what's his name? John Collins, Antetokounmpo, Markkanen or whatever, like what, depending on what it took to get, Antetokounmpo to come, but like whatever it took, you might have all of a sudden this core to build with Antetokounmpo, and all of a sudden you're going into next season as one of the top teams.
But I mean, on the flip side, he's probably going to be in the West, I would assume, as like a Thunder. So flip side of that is, you might want to hold and see what happens as you go along. Because as we all know, there will always be a disgruntled star. So it's just a matter of you have to buy your time and sort of wait.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why Ainge likes having those draft picks. It keeps you flexible. You can the whole thing is build around a sudden like movement, or you can try to make the most of what youth you get.
There is the shot, albeit small, that like Anthony Edwards gets angry and wants out of Minnesota. Saying, I mean, there's always a disgruntled star. It's just a matter of when.
Sorry, the reason I mouthed wow is because Miami just took their starter out of the game when the Angels haven't scored a run. There's guys on first and third, and it's like I was like, wow, that's a bold move. I guess you're just really hoping to win one, like slow the Angels down or whatever. But anyways. So, you guys think do you guys agree with me though? It'll probably end up being the
is he hurt?
The Thunder versus the what's his face? The Pacers.
Yeah, I think so. Like at this point, I think the Knicks are probably done. Like lose 2 games at home. That's tough to come back from. The Pacers are really freaking good. Based on tonight, like the Timberwolves might make a series of it, but also defend home court. I guess we'll see how they show up in Game 4. But yeah, I think it'd be Indiana and Oklahoma City. Like those are
honestly, like I look at the 2 teams that are probably in the finals. Those are great examples of teams that traded away like big players or asset, like basically just were all in on draft assets for a while, until they were able to make something out. Like Paul George was the big thing for both Oklahoma City and I saw something talk about that earlier. For Oklahoma City and the Pacers that eventually led them to where they are today. It's like
it is pretty funny. Paul George is the crux of both of these teams kind of being where they are.
but it's like they both did the same thing that I'm talking about with the Jazz. It's like trade for your draft assets, trade for this and that until you can take, like I forget what the Indiana did, but it was like they drafted a guy that they then flipped for Halliburton.
Well, yeah, so they ended up trading Paul George to the Thunder for Sabonis, and then traded Sabonis to the Kings for Halliburton. So like they essentially made a trade, not necessarily swinging for a superstar, but for like a young guy to a team like the Kings who wanted a superstar, which I don't know if Sabonis would really consider that, but he kind of was at the time, I guess. Yeah, they're definitely, those two teams are the perfect examples of kind of building from within versus like it seems like we're moving to a point where the whole big three era is like dead. Like what the Suns did, for example, is not how you build
the
teams
Lakers
anymore.
are still trying to do.
Yeah, like I feel like some of these teams who are looking for a third star are not reading what's happening in the NBA and what's actually working anymore. Because at this point you need depth. Like, and that's why the Nuggets have lost the last 2 years. No depth. Like we have 6.5 players that are good enough in the playoffs, and we lose because we don't have.
I honestly think it's cyclical.
Oh, it is 100%. Yeah,
teams will build around depth for a while because that's what they eventually realize helps against the big three.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll see parity for years, and then finally the right big three will come through, and it'll go back to everybody going for big threes, and it'll just kind of like. And I mean that's kind of how the CBA is causing everything to function too. So.
Right. Yeah, the CBA made it harder to do the big three thing anyway. But you're right. Like all of these trends are cyclical. Like we see it in the NFL too. Like I think the amount of teams running the ball has gone up over the last couple of years, whereas like we had moved completely away from the running game and we were just passing every time. Like it's kind of starting to swing back the other way. And a team like the Eagles
during the season,
yeah,
like the drop. What was the thing that we talked about? The two safeties, two high safeties or whatever.
Two high safety, yeah.
It's like the big thing now. But like teams are gonna now get like the personnel and the like playbooks to combat that, and it's gonna change back to everybody's passing again, and then
but like
it goes back and forth.
But like you look at the team who won this year, it's the Eagles. Who's their running back? Saquon Barkley. Like they won because of a star running back, a quarterback that could run. And the NBA is the same thing. Like they'll see the Thunder and Pacers be the two teams and be like, hey, we got to build our team like those guys where we can go 10 deep and they all play. We're spacing out minutes. And then in 5 to 8 years, a team will, play like win on the backs of 5 guys and they'll swing back the other way. So it's all about being the team that kind of like starts the trend, I think. And that's the one that ends up like being the successful one in the end. So
I will say this though, I think that Saquon Barkley was an important piece, and what's their quarterback's name again? It's
Jalen Hurts.
Right now. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I think they were both vital pieces. Yeah. But I think the real thing that like the real what's the word I'm looking for? The real X factor that won them the Super Bowl was their O-line.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
They what they did over the years while they weren't quite enough to win the Super Bowl was build all these like pieces behind Kelsey, behind Jason Kelsey and behind all these other guys, and they have not only like do they have good starters, they have enough guys that if their starters go out, they're like, okay, we'll plug this guy in, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're still amazing. And that's why their tush push works. That's why I'm like, when they were doing the rule change, I was like, if you can think of the only reason I was in support, a little bit in support of the rule change against
like banning it basically
against the tush push is because you're not allowed to do the same thing on defense.
Right.
There's a rule that bans defenders from pushing defense through the line.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're gonna ban it for like, it's either don't ban one and ban like it's either don't ban either or ban both. Like,
right, make it even on both sides.
Do not sell me the line that on defense that it's we're doing this so that we don't hurt O linemen or D linemen or whatever. No, you're doing it because it was some teams had an unfair advantage using it. Like,
right. Yeah.
So it's like don't sell it in one way and then not in the other way. It's like, so anyways, but besides that, like I'm also like there was a crazy push by certain teams to do it, but I'm like, guys, just wait like 2 years and the Eagle, or maybe not 2 years, but like give it like at least a few years and the Eagles will be back to not being able to run that play.
Right. They won't have the personnel
quite the right personnel for it.
They want that. The only thing that I find funny, and maybe it was just me found funny, that the commies got so annoyed with it they just started jumping off sides, and it pissed the refs off to where they said, "We'll just give them a touchdown."
That
And I
was
would
pretty
just-
funny, yeah.
To be fair, if I was who's their head coach? It's who is it?
I don't know.
Quinn? Is it Dan Quinn?
Oh yeah, Dan Quinn. Yeah.
I would just said, "Screw it, we're doing it again. F it, they're gonna get it anyway."
Yeah, it's like, you don't
Just
get
out
a
of
touchdown from the tush push. Why not just
Just out of
The refs hand it to
spite,
'em.
just straight out of spite. Just be like, "I do not care. You give it away. They're gonna do it." Just out of pure and unadulterated spite.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
But I do think I am on the side. I think it should be banned. I think it's a bullshit play.
I would probably tend to agree with you. Again, I'm more in the reason for mine is not necessarily the play itself.
Oh, I
It
don't think
is
it's the play
kind of-
itself. I just think it's just bullshit.
I'm more you can't tell the defense, hey, you can't do the one thing that would combat this thing, and then tell the offense, okay, you can do that thing. And it's
I
like
get-
that's not
but
fair.
see,
Because
the
the way
funniest-
to combat that
Lower.
is to put bigger linebackers right behind the defensive
Yeah.
line. To
Mhm.
put like your big to get like
That's
a
what they
couple
do.
of big guys. Well,
that-
no, I
is
know, but then you have your safeties come up and push them through the line. That's the way you do it. But you're not allowed
that-
to do that. There's
Well,
a
the whole
rule
thing is
against that.
that's what the Commanders were trying to do when they kept jumping off sides intentionally. That's what they were doing. Is they basically had that one linebacker just be like, "Hey, we can't touch you, but just fuck it, jump over him."
Right. Try to
Well, no,
time
I'm
the
not talking
snap.
about jumping over them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
that's
pushing
how-
in on the
that's what-
line, like push some, like get some of the bigger linebackers that are available, or get like some ends or whatever, like whatever guys that are the right size that you're looking for, and
Yeah.
and like you get your safeties to come up and just like push these guys back in against
But
the
don't they
running
do
back and the
that?
quarterback. It's
Don't they
like
do that Don't they do that?
they're not
because they
allowed
just-
to. They're not allowed. No,
But
there's a
it's-
rule.
but-
There's a rule
no,
that
but I'm saying
prevents them from
but-
pushing on the defensive line.
I thought they did that when it gets into those like scrum things where it's just two fat
No,
guys going at it.
No, you're not allowed to. The defense isn't allowed. So I mean, and they do call it. I
Oh.
don't know what the call is, but they do call like stuff on the defense if they catch the defense.
But to be fair, but also the
pushing
biggest
guys in.
here's the real reason why they'll never ban it, whether it's a league rule or like the league does it arbitrarily or like the owners do it. It's an offensive league. When's the last time we gave anything to the defense?
Well,
It's been a
one
while.
rule,
It's been a while.
I think
The one rule,
I think it'll be
defense
banned if the Eagles go on if
That's
they
a
win the
touchback.
Super Bowl next year. No, they'll like if they win the Super Bowl next year, then there'll be more like gearing up of people saying, "Well, that's not fair. If they're just going to win game after game, year after year after year, then."
Well, the whole thing is we talked. Like, I don't know if you're still there, but we basically said the teams that basically said, "Hey, we're fine with it," were teams with mobile quarterbacks and teams that have the philosophy of building your line out and building line outward.
Mm-hmm.
That was all the teams. It was either you had a very What was funny is the Colts were on it, and Shane Steichen was like one of the guys that helped make that thing a thing. But that was an owner thing, so I don't know. That was an owner thing, so I don't even know if.
Well, I mean, I would
As
think
an
that
owner at this moment, like, did they even get a chance to vote?
I mean, I would
I know
imagine
it's
the
their daughters,
Colts,
but
would
I'm
have
wondering.
sent a
I'm wondering if
representative
they-
of some kind.
That's what I'm wondering. It's like, did they send a representative, or they just sort of abstain and was just like, "Hey, we don't. You guys are dealing with your own shit. Don't worry about it," kind of thing. Because they only needed X amount of votes, so it wouldn't have mattered if they didn't get it, or they just had like an abstain.
No, I think they did vote. I would imagine because even some of the
Okay,
owners don't
maybe-
go to that thing. It's whoever the owner sends in
might.
some cases. Like,
Probably. Like I said, I just don't know because like literally like it's his daughters that would own it, and they're dealing with the death of their dad. So so they might have just said some poor intern.
right. Well, it would probably be like the president of football operations, like someone
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah.
They're for
Someone in
team
that
owners
office.
and executives. So I guess
Oh,
front
it might have
office
just-
personnel
it might have
go
just been their
to.
GM. It could have just been the GM.
It probably
so they
was
can
just the
G-
GM. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Anywho,
There you go.
all right. We got anything else? I think we talked
no,
about
I think that's it.
all that stuff. All right, cool. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back on Thursday for a midweek show with me and Specs. And see you guys later. Peace.
I'll check in on you guys again to make sure your audio is good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Appreciate-
Thanks, OBS. You're a great program.